Hello everyone, Anime Fiend here. Today I want to talk about how the farm arc in Vinland Saga ends up being a full-on redemption arc for Thorfinn. But before we get there, we need to rewind our way back and talk about how Thorfinn even got broken in the first place. The story opens with a brutal sea battle, Vikings leaping from ship to ship, cutting each other down like it's nothing. In the middle of all this chaos, we're introduced to a man named Thors, a warrior so strong that he completely dominates everyone around him. He's known as one of the greatest fighters alive, but instead of glory hunting like the rest of them, Thors does something unexpected. He fakes his own death, slips into the ocean, and disappears. To the world, Thors, the troll of Jom, is dead. Years later, we catch up with him living a quiet life in Iceland, helping his family prepare for the winter. This is where we meet Thorfinn, his young son, and the protagonist of the story. Thorfinn is curious, restless, and obsessed with adventure. He hangs on every word of Leif Erikson's stories about faraway lands, especially Vinland. To Thorfinn, being a Viking means adventure, honor, and carving your name into history. But the past doesn't stay buried forever. One day, the Viking arrived in Iceland, and it's revealed that Thors wasn't just some soldier, he was once their leader. The current commander, Floki, claims he wants Thors back for an upcoming war. But this is a lie. In reality, Thors abandoning the Viking was seen as a betrayal, and Floki had no intention of letting that go. Behind the scene, Floki hires a mercenary leader named Askeladd to assassinate Thors, not just for political reasons, but because of a personal vendetta. When Thors agrees to travel with the Viking, things immediately go wrong. Thorfinn, desperate for adventure, secretly sneaks aboard the ship. By the time the crew realizes he's there, it's too late to turn back. The plan is to drop him off at the first stop, but they never get the chance. Askeladd and his men ambush them at sea. Thors is forced into battle, and even without weapons, he absolutely overwhelms Askeladd's crew. Eventually, Thors defeats Askeladd himself in a duel. Instead of killing him, Thors makes a deal. Let everybody else goes free. Askeladd agrees and then immediately betrays him. He signals his archers, and Thors is shot down right in front of Thorfinn. This is exactly the moment everything changes. Watching his father die ignites something dark inside Thorfinn: pure rage, hatred, and an overwhelming desire for revenge. From that point on, Thorfinn's life became completely defined by one goal: kill Askeladd. And that decision sets him on a path that will destroy him long before it ever saves him. After Thors is killed and Askeladd takes control of the ship, the crew discovered that Thorfinn had soared away. Without hesitation, Thorfinn declares that he's going to kill Askeladd. Askeladd barely takes him seriously. Thorfinn is just a kid, weak, angry, and as far as he is concerned, probably not long for this world. That opinion starts to change pretty quickly. When Askeladd's band makes landfall and raids a nearby village, Thorfinn manages to survive and fight on his own, without anyone protecting him. That alone catches Askeladd's attention. Before leaving, Thorfinn challenges him to a duel. He doesn't land a single hit, but his determination is enough to impress Askeladd, who offers him a deal. Thorfinn can join his mercenary band, and depending on how useful he becomes, Askeladd will allow him to challenge him to duels for the right to kill him. Blinded by rage, Thorfinn agrees. That follows a vicious cycle that lasts for years. Thorfinn raids villages, fights enemy armies, and throws himself into incredibly dangerous missions, all just for another chance at Askeladd. Duel after duel, he loses every time, but instead of growing, he becomes more hollow. Revenge is the only thing keeping him moving. As Thorfinn travels with Askeladd's crew, it becomes clear that the constant violence is slowly eroding who he is. Whether it's infiltrating enemy forts to assassinate commanders or leaping onto a bridge guarded by Thorkel the Tall, one of the most terrifying Vikings alive, Thorfinn shows no fear because he no longer values his own life. The breaking point comes during a raid involving an English village. Thorfinn is helped by an English woman who shows him kindness, and in a moment of vulnerability, despite that, Thorfinn signals Askeladd to attack the village, condemning innocent civilians to slaughter. Up until that moment, his violence had mostly been directed at soldiers and warriors. Crossing that line, endangering civilians, marks the moment Thorfinn truly loses his innocence. Meanwhile, Askeladd has his own goals. During his travels, he encounters Prince Canute and quickly realizes that the timid, sheltered prince could be molded into something greater. Askeladd pledges loyalty to Canute, not out of devotion, but as part of a larger plan to protect his homeland of Wales by manipulating the Danish royal line. Thorfinn is assigned as Canute's bodyguard, and this creates a powerful contrast between the two. Canute starts off as meek, soft-spoken, and completely dependent on his caretaker Ragnar. He's so sheltered that even watching an animal being butchered makes him sick. Thorfinn mocks him by calling him princess, seeing him as weak and pathetic. But the irony is clear. Canute is protected by privilege, while Thorfinn has been forced to survive on his own since he was 6 years old. One is the son of a king, and the other the son of a legendary warrior, but both are shaped entirely by their circumstances. Over time, Canute begins to change, gaining confidence and conviction, while Thorfinn remains trapped, unable to grow past his hatred. Eventually, Askeladd brings Canute before King Svein of Denmark, hoping to secure his plan, but Svein sees through him and forces an impossible choice: protect Wales or protect Canute. With no way out, Askeladd makes a final desperate move. He pretends to go mad and assassinates King Svein in front of the court, ensuring that Canute will take the throne and abandon the invasion of Wales. Askeladd is immediately cut down by the royal guards, and the final blow is delivered by Canute himself, just as Thorfinn arrives. For Thorfinn, this is devastating. His entire life has been built around killing Askeladd in single combat, and that purpose is ripped away in an instant. With nothing left to live for, he lashes out and attacks Canute, managing only to scar his face before being restrained. With his purpose gone and his rage finally burning out, Thorfinn is sold into slavery, and that's where the farm arc begins. The farm arc opens by shifting focus away from Thorfinn and onto a new character named Einar. Einar lives a peaceful life with his mother and sister, working on the land and staying far away from war. That peace is shattered when Vikings raid his village, slaughter his family, and sell him into slavery. After months of being transported and traded, Einar is eventually bought by a landowner named Ketil and taken to work on his farm. When Einar arrives, he discovers that another slave has already been working there for years: Thorfinn. The version of Thorfinn is almost unrecognizable. The rage is gone, the fire is gone. He works silently, accepts punishment without complaint, and seems completely empty. For Thorfinn, slavery feels like something he deserves after everything he's done. Ketil explains that while they are slaves, they're given a chance to earn their freedom by clearing and farming a section of the land, then selling the crop. They can either buy their freedom or even purchase the land itself and live as free men. It's a harsh system, but compared to most slavery in the world, it's strangely fair. Even so, life on the farm isn't easy. While Ketil treats his workers with respect, some of the overseers and retainers don't share that attitude. Thorfinn and Einar are starved, denied tools, sabotaged, and sometimes beaten. Things only begin to improve after they meet Snake, the farm's head guard, and help Ketil's father with his work, earning access to proper tools and slightly better treatment. As Thorfinn and Einar work together, they begin to open up to each other. Eventually, the truth comes out. Thorfinn admits that he was a Viking, and Einar reveals that Vikings destroyed his entire life. This forces Thorfinn to finally confront the consequences of his past actions, not as abstract guilt, but through the pain of someone standing right in front of him. At first, Einar is terrified and distrustful of Thorfinn, and rightfully so. But as time passes, he begins to see that Thorfinn isn't the same person anymore. This becomes especially clear through Thorfinn's nightmares. Night after night, he dreams of being trapped in hell, desperately trying to climb out while the ghosts of everyone he's killed drag him back down. Askeladd appears in his dreams, reminding Thorfinn of the weight of his sins. These nightmares show that Thorfinn isn't numb, he's haunted, and for the first time, he's actually facing it. Through shared suffering and honesty, Thorfinn and Einar form a bond so strong they begin to see each other as brothers. As the years pass and they get closer to earning their freedom, the two start talking about the future. Thorfinn finally speaks about his true goal: not revenge, not glory, but Vinland, a land beyond war where no one has to hurt anyone else. It's the first dream he's had since his father died. Around the same time, Ketil and his sons travel to meet King Canute to pay tribute. Things go badly, but by pure coincidence, Leif Erikson happens to be in the area. Through a chance encounter, Leif learns that a man named Thorfinn is working as a slave on Ketil's farm, the very Thorfinn he's been searching for all these years. Leif travels to the farm and finally reunites with Thorfinn. Overcome with relief, Leif admits that he blamed himself for years. Believing that Thorfinn's fate was his failure, he never stopped looking for him, and now, at last, he's found him. With Leif's help, Thorfinn regains his freedom. After returning to Iceland, Thorfinn reunites with his mother and sister, and finally tells everything that happened to him during his years of violence and slavery. He then shares his plan to gather people and to sail to Vinland, not as conquerors, but as settlers who reject war entirely. As they prepare for the journey, Thorfinn is forced to face his past one last time through Hild, a brilliant craftswoman who despises him. Years earlier, Thorfinn killed her father during a raid with Askeladd. Hild sets a trap to kill him, but after hearing his plan for Vinland, chooses not to pull the trigger. Instead, she tells Thorfinn that his life now belongs to her, and if he even returns to violence, she won't hesitate to kill him. As the journey continues, Hild watches Thorfinn closely, again and again placed in situations where fighting would be easier, where violence would solve everything. Every time he refuses. Even when he's pressured to become the leader of the Jomsviking, Thorfinn rejects power and bloodshed. Through his actions, Thorfinn proves that he truly has changed. Hild eventually forgives him and even begins actively supporting his mission, helping craft tools, teach others, and protect the group. In the end, Thorfinn understands the words his father told him as a child: "You have no enemies." The farm arc isn't just about slavery or farming, it's about Thorfinn learning how to live again. Stripped of violence, stripped of hatred, he becomes Thorfinn Karlsefni, a man of great promise, not because of his strength, but because of his refusal to hurt others. And that is why the farm arc stands as the true redemption arc of Vinland Saga. At the end of the day, the farm arc is where Thorfinn truly becomes the man his father believed he could be. It strips away his hatred, his pride, finally confront the harm he's caused and the people he's hurt along the way. Instead of finding meaning through battle, Thorfinn learns that real strength comes from choosing not to fight. The farm arc isn't about action or spectacle, it's about growth. It shows that redemption isn't instant, and it isn't easy. But it is possible if you're willing to face your past and commit to doing better. Anyway, those are my thoughts on how the farm arc of Vinland Saga serves as Thorfinn's redemption. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below.